Therese Tucker, and this is our opportunity to read the energy for you personally for the week ahead. This week, we're looking at our full moon happening in Aquarius. This is going to be happening on Wednesday, July 29th. And it starts about 7:36 a.m. Pacific time. So we're going to be under the energy of that moon the entire day. And at the same time, as the moon is full in Aquarius, there's also going to be a Jupiter Cazimi with the sun. So Jupiter adds its energy to this full moon. So what are we looking at? Well, the full moons are always about release and they're always about healing. So we're going to be working on letting go of where we might be finding ourselves stagnant in patterns. Where do we keep repeating the same energy and we're not letting ourselves expand? So it's time to let ourselves expand. And I'm going to do a reading for you about where this full moon is happening for you this month. So every month with the moon's changing its placement of the houses, and we can actually find out which house it's happening in for us by using our rising sign, the ascendant. So I'm going to be doing this reading for your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can use your sun sign. But if you want to get the most accurate placement about where this is happening for you, so where are you being asked to expand on and maybe even reinvent where you currently are at? So let's take a look. We're going to start with Aries rising. So if you are an Aries rising, we're looking at the 11th house. This is happening in your 11th house. Now that's interesting because this is the house that Aquarius rules. This is the house that has to do with the future, it has to do with groups and associations, and our hopes and wishes for what comes ahead. So let's see what Aries rising, what's coming up for you. All right. I'm just going to shuffle here to one pot. There we go. All right, we've got the Knight of Swords. And when I feel into this card, this is really about work and business related opportunities. Perhaps we've gotten into a rut with our current position, what we're doing, and we're not really opening our eyes to how we can approach the work differently. So remember, there's a shakeup here, but there's also something to heal when we're working with the full moon. So the thing is, what is the fear around seeing a new opportunity or a new approach to the work that you do? If there is an opportunity, it looks like, that wants to come forward, but we need to take a different approach than we've taken in the past. So let's say you're someone who waits for opportunities to just knock on your door. Maybe it's time to actually go start knocking on other doors and seeing if you can create those opportunities. If it's in regards to work that you're already doing, there's something that you can reinvent around the way that you're doing things. It's like you can upgrade and adapt or re-envision how you're doing something. Something can be streamlined and it feels like it has to do with something technical. So if you've been avoiding tech, if you're a person who avoids like a technical advancement or creating like a shortcut or something or a systems update, it's time to look at why do I avoid that? What am I telling myself about that? And understand that there's another way to approach the work that you're already doing that could possibly help you a lot. And that's Aries rising. Okay, so next up, we're going to look at Taurus rising. So for Taurus rising, this full moon is happening in your 10th house. And this is directly to do with career or what you're putting out in the world, what your public standing is. So let's see what the energy calls for you in regards to your public standing, what you're putting out in the world, and what wants to be looked at in a new way and or healed here. Okay, Okay, Taurus rising feels like this is the Ace of Wands reverse. There was sort of a divine spark that you backed off on. So maybe you got an idea, maybe it's like one day in the shower, you got this idea about something you wanted to create, something you felt called to bring into the world, and you either talked yourself out of it, like that's cool, but I have no idea how I would do that. That's one thing I'm getting. Also trying to manipulate that energy to come through. Like it's almost like you're trying to get yourself into a pretzel to see if you can activate this energy. At this time, what needs to be healed is the opportunities for growth or expansion that I maybe backed away from or felt like I've missed, or where I've been practicing impatience and trying to like cajole energy to open up for me, right? Everything has a season, a reason, and a time. And what I'm getting for you is that at this time, what really wants to be healed here is maybe, do you look back and feel regret or remorse about opportunities that weren't taken before you try to take a new one or create a new opportunity for yourself? The call for you is to really forgive. It's like it was a lesson learned. It was information I needed to grow on my path moving forward. So the healing here is to let those missed opportunities go. Understand, like, all opportunities that are for you will come to you and will come back to you again in some shape or form. All right, so now let's look at Gemini rising. Gemini rising, this is happening in your 9th house of mental expansion. So it's asking you to look at where you can literally mentally expand. And this is also the house that Jupiter does reside over. So there is some kind of expansion energy coming in here. But remember, this is also about healing. So let's see what the cards say for Gemini rather, rising. Interesting. So Gemini rising, your planetary chart ruler is Mercury, which means you are a thinker and you like to analyze and you like to learn and look into things. And so the redirection that we're being asked, Gemini rising, is instead of focusing so much on the philosophical learning you could do or the higher education, it's really learning how to approach your nervous system, learning how to approach the body, the human aspect of yourself, your own limits and your human aspect, learning to approach it differently. And in this position, when strength is in this position, it means soften with love towards yourself, towards the human part of yourself, right? Forgive yourself for those mistakes. Recognize that mistakes are necessary in order to move forward. And so that is where the expansion in learning wants to go right now, but also the healing as well. Okay, so now we are looking at Cancer rising. Cancer rising, this is happening in your 8th house. So the 8th house represents shared resources. It's the love, death, and taxes house. It's the house of transformation. So let's see where the growth edge and the healing is for Cancer rising. All right, what do we got? This one. Okay. 6 of Pentacles. I feel like part of this is understanding that, one, success isn't always, they're saying success is not always an upwards ladder. Sometimes, sometimes the trajectory instead of straight up is up, across, up, across, up, across, right? So looking at how are you looking at what it's going to take to be successful, both in terms of what you want to do for work and financially. It's not always a straight up ladder, it's up and across. I also feel like there's some healing energy that's being asked for Cancer right now, is to heal the relationship with money and work, right? Maybe with your energy, what I'm getting is this is not an area I like to dwell in. I would like it to like operate on its own without me having to put emotional energy towards this area, but it does require some emotional input, right? So without us providing energy or direction, the energy either kind of stagnates or it doesn't move very far, very fast. And so it's okay to put some of that Cancerian emotional energy towards things that feel maybe self-serving, like money that serves you, or money that, or business that has your name attached to it. What I get is that you got to remember, like, this circulates. It circulates. It doesn't stop with you. It just circulates through you. And having a healthy relationship with money and work helps you circulate it more, which is what you really enjoy doing. All right. So let's take a look now at Leo. Leo rising. This is happening in your 7th house. So this is your 7th house of relationship, partnership, business, contracts, anywhere you're working in tandem with someone else. All right, so let's see where that growth edge and healing is happening for Leo rising. And there it is. Interesting. I feel like there's a lot of financial stuff that's coming up with this. Let me look at it. Elementally, there's an even balance. I'm looking at where this full moon is occurring, which plane. So, but all the planes except for the emotional plane are pretty evenly balanced. The reason I ask is because, again, we've got financial things coming up. This is the 9 of Pentacles for Leo rising. So this is understanding, this is like accepting or solidifying, like really solidifying your understanding of money, accumulating money, really grounding it, learning how to ground it, understanding that it's coming through partnerships, it's coming through working with others. And this could be a partnership that's either business oriented or it could be a romantic partnership, but partnerships that help you stabilize financially, and you really can take off. So it's healing. One, the growth edge is I can do this with others, where maybe you're more comfortable financially growing by yourself. Financially growing with others is actually quite fruitful for you, but also, have you been hurt in the past around that Leo rising? Is there something there that needs to be healed, where you felt that something was mismanaged, or that your best interest wasn't really thought about at that time? That's the edge of healing for you. All right, so now we're going to look at where the Aquarius moon is asking for healing and being on that like cutting edge or creating a shift in mindset or a shift in your reality. We're looking at that now for Virgo. This is happening in the house that you rule, which is the 6th house. So that is the work-life balance, the daily responsibilities house, and being of service and your health. So let's take a look, Virgo rising. What's going on with you? Where's the growth edge and the healing for you here? Here. Okay. So we've got the 7 of Wands reversed. And this one's really giving me the energy of, again, what wants to be healed at this time for you is letting fear stop you from taking the leap forward. This is what's happening here. Usually we've got this, we're willing to take the leap of faith, and this is the moment where perhaps there were some leaps of faith, lines that you walked up to that you almost crossed but you backed away from. And what's being asked to be healed here is understanding that again, it's a learning opportunity. We don't need to put so much weight on it. If you are holding that in your system at all, the times where you're like, I wanted to go and cross the threshold with my faith and I fell short, that line, that energetic line is still there for you to cross. But before we cross it, we need to shake off all past attempts and or failures. And remember, there's no real failure except the failure to try. So as long as we try, even if we fail, we still move forward. We still move forward because we're further ahead than we were before we tried. So that's something for us to remember here with Virgo rising. Okay, next up, we're looking at Libra rising. This is happening in the 5th house for you, and that's the fun house. This is romance, children, fun, creativity. Also, there's the element of gambling that can happen there, Libra rising. So let's take a look and see where that growth edge healing is for you. Here. Okay, so this is actually Libra rising happening again at that emotional level, and this is more about where have I held back. I feel like where have I held back love? I've used criticism more than I used love. And the sadness that that creates when it comes to your creativity or just having fun, right? If it's like, I don't know, I see like having a bad hair day and wanting to go on a date, right? And you go on the date maybe, but you're so fixated on like how limp or stringy your hair looks that day that you totally miss, like you're not fully engaged in the present and having fun. And it's moments like that I'm picking up where like a harsher eye or an inner strictness kept you from really enjoying the moment fully, like took the love out of the creativity. Maybe perfection was a part of that, like you needed to get it right so you couldn't fully engage or enjoy it. So they're being asked to heal that. Look at what the pattern was. Does that serve you? And did it matter in the end? That's the thing to look back. Did it matter in the end? You know, if you did it right or if you looked your best. What was really the most important? So by looking backward and seeing that, it helps you soften as you move forward. Okay. So next up, we're looking at Scorpio. Scorpio rising. This is happening in your 4th house. And this is the house that relates to home, family, the past. So we're looking at where the healing and growth edge is for you with this full moon in Aquarius. Where's that growth edge and the healing for Scorpio rising? Okay. I've got the 6 of Swords, and this is about the balance between analysis and intuition is what I'm getting for you, Scorpio rising. The balance between analysis and intuition. Now, Scorpio energy is very psychic energy, so there is an intuition there, but sometimes the Scorpio energy that can come through can be sort of hot-headed or wanting to move fast if they're not in that present state again. And so the balance is you want both hemispheres to activate. You want your intuitive right hemisphere to pick it up and your analytical left hemisphere to read it together. This is talking about achieving that balance between the two. And the healing here is sort of forgiving again any moments where that didn't happen. Any moments where I was like, I got the intuitive hit and I acted on it hastily without thinking of consequences. Just because it's intuitive doesn't necessarily mean we've processed if this is the right moment to act or not. So with those situations, we got to look back and we got to forgive ourselves for any hastiness, or in the opposite direction where we overthought it and we denied our own intuition, right? Until we overthought it and put ourselves in a circle, trapped ourselves in this labyrinth, if you will, where we couldn't get out and move forward. So we're looking to balance those two aspects. And in particular, when it comes to close family, your inner world, and the home. So where are you? We're being asked here to create that balance. First, internal world, right? With the two hemispheres. So syncing your hemispheres. And I literally get Doing exercises like bilateral tapping, for example, literally syncs your hemispheres together. This would be very positive exercise for Scorpio rising at this time, for all of us, but specifically Scorpio rising. And then looking at either your internal world or its reflection, your home, and looking at where is there an imbalance? Where have I put too much emphasis in this space or not enough emphasis? And where does it need more balance? Okay, so now we're going to look at Sagittarius rising. This is happening in your third house of communication. So let's take a look and see what's going on, what needs healing, what brings you to that edge of expansion when you heal, Sagittarius rising. Your third house of communication. Lots of cards want to fly out right now. Let's get this one. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sagittarius rising, you are syncing up with Gemini rising. You also pulled the Strength card. Remember, this is psychological self-love heals, right? So reminding that our natural expression, again, we are not perfect beings. We are both divine and we're human, right? So we have our moments of divinity and we have our moments of humanness. This card represents allowing ourselves to love ourselves and our imperfections just as our higher self does love us, just as our soul loves us, and we treat ourselves with gentleness. And so this is feels like for Sagittarius rising, perhaps there are words that you things that you've said out loud, maybe to someone, or when you're putting yourself out there and you feel awkward about that, you're like, oh, it like either the delivery, you stumbled on it, or the energy just felt off, and you really want to sort of comb over that with a fine-tooth comb and sort of pick apart, how do other people perceive that? That didn't go so well for me. And this is the card that's like, literally pet the lion, like, shh, quiet down. All is well. You said what you needed to say. You put it out there, which takes courage. You put the energy out there. You expressed yourself, even if the expression felt weird or off. And so the healing edge is loving the mistakes. As a person I have a podcast, I'm live streaming right now. I teach live. I am constantly fumbling my words. I'm constantly, I go blank sometimes. Things like that happen. And the reason I share this is because if I were to berate myself or really comb over everything I do, I don't think I'd ever turn on the computer again, just because it would be like too humiliating. And so I focus more on the fact that I had the courage to put myself out there rather than how perfectly I presented myself. And then this card is asking you to do the same thing too. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there. So give yourself love and appreciation for that effort, and give yourself, just kind of laugh at the mistakes happen, right? Mistakes. Look, I just made one saying mistake. Mistakes are going to happen. When we treat ourselves with love and understanding, we move through it so much faster, and we re-empower ourselves to keep going, to have the courage to continue to keep your heart open, and be vulnerable, which is very powerful. All right, now let's look at Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising, this is happening in your second house. In your second house of value and worth, possessions and money, all of that comes together here in the second house. Capricorn rising, let's see where your growth and healing is happening here in the second house. Okay. This one. This is good. This is the Four of Swords, and this is like, I am not going to fight right now with it. Whatever the situation is, I'm moving into acceptance, at least for now. I'm not going to continue to battle with this, whatever it is. So if it's a self-worth thing, you're putting down the sword for now. If it is a literal financial situation that feels overwhelming to you, The healing edge for you is literally just putting the sword down for now. Like, what if I didn't have to continue to resist or fight what I experience? What if for a moment I could move into that acceptance? And you're going to find that there's a lot of power there. The peace that you're seeking isn't necessarily when it's cleared, right? When the self-worth issues clear up, then you'll be at peace. Or when the financial situation straightens out, then you'll be at peace. That's not actually where the peace lives. The peace lives in the moment with you already. It's there. And it's when you stop resisting it. And this isn't the same as giving up, right? This is a truce. That means I'm putting my sword down for now. I live to fight another day, but for today, I take a break and I step back and I take a rest. And it's really, how do I find peace in my own mind? Capricorn rising, here's what I get for you is that present moment checklist. And depending on what area is really activating, is it your own sense of value and worth that's really activated, that you feel like you've been battling, or is it your financial situation? Whatever it is, you do a present moment checklist. And that is, okay, let's say it's the financial situation. You pause and you acknowledge everything that's true about this moment. I have a roof over my head. There's food in the fridge. There's this much money in the bank. There's, I have fresh air I can breathe, right? I have a bed that I can sleep in. Whatever you just list things as they are. Oftentimes with something like this, we are battling a monster in our mind more than in our reality. This isn't to say that we wouldn't have issues or problems we might be working through, only that what we are telling ourselves about those issues is the monster that we are creating. We are, in order to fully go into the fear or the lack of worth or money, we have to tell ourselves there's nothing there. We have to really hype up the situation. It's almost like your brain is like a screenwriter. It's like, no, we've got to make this more emotional. We've got to make this really count. So we go far into these stories of fear and panic, and we bring ourselves all the way to that edge. Great for screenwriting, bad for living in with your brain. So right now, the healing edge is putting down those thoughts and getting present with the reality. In this present moment, you are safe right now. In this present moment, this is what you can see that reflects the value back to you, or the stability that you're looking for back to you. All right, now let's look at Aquarius rising, because this is where the full moon is happening, is in the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarius rising, this is happening in your first house. So you're experiencing this full moon healing edge energy in your sense of self, in your relationship to your body, and how you're presenting yourself to others, how others are perceiving you. So let's see what the healing edge is for Aquarius rising. What we got here. This. Okay, so this is the Tower. Tower card means awakening, and in the upright position, it would be like a drastic awakening. This is like a manageable breakdown of perhaps your current self image. And this is not a bad thing. Just because it's here, it just means like you're looking at it, you're like, wait a minute. I've always thought that, I don't know, I looked older than I am, or something like that. That's maybe what your current self-image was holding. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not true. Something is it's coming apart. But the cool thing with this position is it's manageable. It's kind of you picking it apart yourself. It's like you're pulling apart the tower rather than the tower getting struck. It's like you're dismantling that old belief a stone at a time, and you're picking it apart, and you're like, well, that never really worked for me, right? So if I said something like, I'm a shy wallflower, but I wanted to be more visible in public, right? That's not going to help me. So it's almost like catching that and going, wait a minute, why am I telling myself? Why am I claiming that when that's not what I want? And so Aquarius rising, you are pulling the stones out one at a time and dismantling the old image so that the new or the more aligned really can really be visible to both the world, but also more importantly to yourself. Our self-image is something we really get to choose, but we rarely think about it that way. I mean, we're usually busy with the different aspects of our life, especially if we're deep in survival mode. How you appear to the world is one of those things that is kind of like the last thing on the list. In this point in time, whenever you've got the first house activating, it is a good time to look at that, because again, it's reflecting something that's happening internally. And so when we are owning that more, when we are establishing it ourselves and really claiming it and creating it, there, then internal activation is happening for us. All right, so now we're going to look at Pisces rising for the full moon in Aquarius. Full moon in Aquarius, Pisces. This is Pisces rising. This is happening for you in your 12th house. And this is the house of the subconscious mind. It is where the healing is happening, or where something truly wants to end or be done. And so let's look at where the healing growth is for Pisces rising in the 12th house. This one. Interesting. Okay, so this is the healing growth edge, Pisces rising. This is happiness, the happiness card. This is the 9 of Cups, but it's showing up in the reversed position. And so it's almost like you're doing the deeper work on unraveling the story you tell yourself on what happiness is, or how you attain happiness. Or how it comes to you, or how it's achieved. So again, we're healing our story with happiness. And happiness is one of those things that is elusive, similar to when you are trying to get psychic information. It feels elusive till you understand what you're doing. So oftentimes with happiness, we chase it. Same with intuitive hits, we chase them. And that action is actually quite repelling. It repels the energy away from us. So we're working with an etheric realm where it acts like a mirror to us. And what we put into the mirror, we get that back. So if we reach out, it's like we're pushing. I need that happiness. And you go and you try and grab it. You need it. Why do you need it? What's the subtext under need and want? The subtext is I don't have. So what's really reflected into the mirror is I don't have this. And the mirror can only show you, yes, you don't have it. And so we go on these journeys where the destination is I'm going to be happy, right? That's the outcome. But happiness isn't a destination. It's like an active state. And so it's really something that you can't chase it. You can't chase it, but you can experience it on the journey, right? It becomes an active state. So the way that we work with things like happiness or intuition is that we understand, treat them like a cat or a butterfly, and then you'll totally understand how to work with it. So if you have a cat, you understand that for most cats, seems like female cats more than males, but for most cats, if you try to pick them up, if you try to get them, they'll run away from you. They don't want it. You're chasing them. And that's really more interesting to them, is being chased, right? So the need and want keeps the cat running from you. But as soon as you are content and your attention is somewhere else and you are emotionally detached, that cat's all over you. You can't get him off of you. And that's the same with happiness energy. It's the same with intuitive information. There's so many things that are like this, but it's because when we become detached, or when we recognize that I don't need to get anything, I already have it, you become magnetic. So when we can recognize that happiness isn't something I go and get, it's something I am, that I radiate, then we are more in a being state. We become more magnetic. And for happiness specifically, what really can activate it is when we try to give it. So it's a state that we can give to another. And when the focus is how do I give it, then what you're really saying is I do have it and I can share it. And then you start to feel that. So that we're Pisces rising, you're just being asked to address that relationship with happiness. Look at what you have been looking at it like, and why it feels elusive if it does. Maybe it doesn't feel elusive all the time, but maybe there are periods where it feels very elusive. Notice if you're trying to get it, and notice what happens when you focus on detachment from it. You might actually find that happiness shows up there, and you're also definitely going to find it when you focus on giving it. All right, so with that is the end of the readings part for each of the signs. Now we've got a question. So a question came up from someone who would like a reading. So let me give this to Lisa. Lisa, you sent in a question where you are looking for your ID. And because you're not here right now, it's a little hard to give you more, because I can't ask you questions. So we're gonna use the dowsing rods. And just a quick reminder, when the rods cross, that means a yes. When they pull apart, that means no. We're going to ask your team in spirit some questions about where this ID might be hiding. So first, I'm going to call in my own team in spirit, guides, angels, ascended masters, higher self, and source energy. Come on through. Team, you ready? Well, thank you. Okay. Now let's call in Lisa's team in spirit, guides, angels, ascended masters, higher self, and source energy. Come on through. Lisa's team, are you also here and present? Yes or no? Yes, thank you. Okay, Lisa's team. From the highest truth, we're locating the missing ID. Is the missing ID Lisa is looking for, is it currently in her home at this time? Yes or no? The missing ID that she is looking for, is it in her physical home? Yes or no? Lisa's team, from the highest truth. Is it in the physical home? All right, I don't know if you can see, but they're starting to go with no. Okay. So we're not looking for the ID in the home. Thank you. All right. Now, Lisa's team, from the highest truth, is the ID Lisa is looking for, is it physically at this moment in her place of employment? Yes or no? The missing ID. Is it in her place of employment? Yes or no? Okay, so it's worth searching, Lisa. Your place of employment. All right, clear. Thank you. One more question, just to make sure we're checking everywhere. Lisa's team, from the highest truth, is the missing ID Lisa is looking for, is it currently residing in her vehicle? Yes or no? From the highest truth. Checking all locations. Is it in her vehicle? Yes or no? I don't know if you can see that, but they're saying no. All right, thank you. So Lisa, looks like check out the job. Maybe it's somewhere in the back room, and maybe people can help you find it. But we'll look there. All right. Yes, people will help. Good. So nice of those people to help you. All right. So with that, if you would like to have a question on the live stream and have me answer it for you here on the live stream, there is a way to do that. In the description link, there is a link to Hipsy, and that allows you to put yourself in my queue to ask a reading here on the live. Or if you don't want to ask it on the live, you can ask for it privately. You can get a private recorded message. So if you want a reading from me, click on that link. I also have on-demand readings on there and some really cool packages as well. So take a look. I'm so happy to be here with you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Leave me a message. Let me know, did it resonate with you? What came up for your rising sign? And I hope that you have a beautiful full moon in Aquarius happening on Sunday. If you'd like to join me live for the full moon in Aquarius, there will be a spirit circle happening that day. If you go to my website, blythestarlight.com/spirit-circles, you can join the next spirit circle. And I also teach that day on Insight Timer. We do a spiritual block removal ritual. So there's a lot of ways to interact with me for this full moon in Aquarius, which, by the way, is the last full moon before we go into eclipse season. So lots of spicy stuff coming up pretty soon. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you at my next live stream. Bye, everyone.